Why, hello everybody, and welcome back to Fusion's Ramblings. In this series, we spend a few minutes and we just talk about random topics. And today we're going to talk about something interesting. We're going to talk about what were we going to talk about? I forgot what we were going to talk about. Oh no, it's the end of the world, end of the world. No, we're going to talk about advances in science, but in this case, um, I guess either bioengineering or bionics or I don't know what you want to call it, androids, uh, or something like that. Um, no, I want to talk about where or what could happen in the future from a perspective of technology, medicine, and what people might get used to. Um, and I say that because, and you've probably seen the movies and shows and read the books and all of that, but the capability to be able to create biomechanical machines is increasing. That capability is getting better and better and better. At some point, we will have the full ability to create um, eyeballs from scratch, and not I'm not going to talk about like actual, eyeball as in um, a regular eyeball, but a mechanical eyeball. I mean, obviously, people have glass eyes as an example. You could consider that as, sort of the same thing, except it doesn't do anything. But now think about having a glass eye that actually allows you to see, allows you to zoom in on things, maybe see things in different color spectrums like infrared or ultraviolet, things like that. Um, that's an interesting concept. And I'll just talk about the eyeball to begin with, just because I wear glasses and I'm half blind as it is. And yes, I could get, you know, uh, laser surgery, not quite LASIK, to help solve my eye problems, but the technology currently doesn't exist to fix my eyes to where I could have 20/20. And we're not talking about 20/20 vision here. We're talking about going beyond, enhancing that. The ability to, um, like I said, have vision per se that allows me to see in different perspectives, allows me look long distance and see, for example, um, far away items. Okay? That would be pretty cool to be able to have that ability. Same thing you could say for, uh, you know, having like a chip in your head that allows you to have better memory, or allows you to have um, the ability to speak and understand any language that is programmed into it automatically, like the universal translator that you see in sci-fi movies, things like that. Um, all of those technologies that could be possible um, through the use of bioengineering or biomechanics, um, and then incorporating that into your body. Now, of course, there's the debate. Some people would say, no, I don't want anything foreign in my body. I want it all natural. I don't want that type of experience. But then there's other people for, various reasons that would. Some of them for, thinking about the type of work they do. It would be handy if they could um, handle a situation where maybe, due to their job, they need to handle heavy equipment. And so having, modifications to their body that allows them to uh, carry around stronger weights or heavier items, have, extra strength would be useful. Or maybe, it's someone who, a doctor, let's say, who works on um, micro. I don't know all these terms, but does things with you know trying to look at viruses and or cells and being able to operate on a cell with the naked eye instead of using uh, a spectroscope or a microscope or electron scope or something like that, because they're able to just see what they're doing as they're doing it, and maybe even pull up in front of them in their mind, the diagram of the heart or the blood vessel or circulatory system and overlay it over the body that they're operating on, and being able to see that. I mean, we could go all kinds of ways, whether it's, adding modifications to your body that so you don't have to eat as often, or, vision, hearing, language, strength, um, memory, knowledge, recall, uh, recording and playback, from the mind. Um, Boy, we could just go all over with this. But I mean, that having those capabilities uh, brings up both positives and negatives. There's negatives with everything. You might get someone that gets the body modification that gives them strength, and then they hurt people with it. Obviously, that wouldn't be good. Or this person that gets a fake eyeball that allows them to uh, use a different spectrum of vision, and then they spy on people. I mean, who knows? There's all kinds of weird people out there. We're all weird in some way. Hopefully just not in a bad way. Um, but that creates questions of, well, how do you control that? Would there be regulations on it? And there's a lot of books, topics, discussions that have happened over the years about that as well, as far as, would there be laws, that say you could or could not have body modifications? Um, and if you did, would you be um, called out for it, or even in some ways put on the spot and discriminated against just because you had that. Um, some people because of fear, they'd be afraid of that. Some people because they just don't understand why that would be needed or be an experience, or things like that. There's a lot of discussions that can happen um, around that. Uh, for me, I'm fairly open. I think there's opportunities where it would definitely be a benefit um, for individuals and people. But then at the same time, there is, of course, concerns around it. Um, and so I think it would have to be, carefully controlled and understood by the general public and stuff. For me, I would definitely trade in three things I would consider. One, my eyeballs. I don't need to see in different spectrums, things like that, although that could be cool. I just want to be able to see good without glasses. So if, being able to um, do that, and, because my eyes get modified and, with nanotechnology or whatever, um, okay, sure, I'm okay with that. Another one would be, being able to speak and understand in different languages. I'm terrible at languages. In school, I took, a year each of French, German, Russian. I took 3 years of Spanish. I live in a foreign country where, I've attempted to learn Tagalog, and, and I can get around and I can understand a lot of those different languages to a degree. Um, some of it through memory recall and just, you know, um, an experience, and then others from practice and use, but most of it I forget and I struggle with. You'd think after what 17 years of living in a foreign country, you would know the language, right? And for a lot of people, they can. Um, for me, unfortunately, I struggle with it. It's not that I can't. I think it's more of that, I've been in a job that requires me most of the time to speak English, even though I'm in a foreign country, and so I don't get to use it. But having a body modification, whether it's a chip in my head or whatever, that allows me to understand and speak different languages, I think that would be cool. I think that would be great. Um, you could speak to someone in their own language and you could understand them. I see a lot of benefits to that. The other one that I would consider from I guess a modification standpoint would be around memory or our brains have a huge capacity to remember and we store a ton our entire lives, basically, in our memory. Although the brain selectively, I don't know if it removes memories over time that just aren't used, um, or what, but it's hard to recall all of that. Now, there are people that have photographic memories, things like that. And they're able to have really good recall. Um, Myself, I'm really good with locations and geography. Like if I go to a place, I can go back there, without a map. Uh, and, I can think back to places I've hiked to as a child, places that, you know, our family drove to or went to when I was a kid. I know exactly how to get there. It's just in my head. I can see it. I know where to go. I don't necessarily, recall all of the, let's say, street names, let's say. Um, but if things haven't changed, which is, not a guarantee, I could get back to that location just because of I've been there and I'm going to remember how to get there. And I can just go. Whether it's walking, driving, it doesn't matter. I can recall. And I can see those things in my mind too when I think about it. Um, all the different places I've been and those experiences. But if you ask me for the names of people, or hey, what are the actors in that one movie? I haven't got a clue. I mean, there are certain, of course, movies and things like that that um, stand out and that I'll remember because, I really like them and so I've watched them many times and so it's fairly easy to recall items. But then there's others I'll see a show and I know about the show. I remember the basics of the storyline behind it, things like that. But I couldn't tell you the names of the characters or the real life actors that are in it because I can't remember those things. So having a modification or a chip or something that allowed me to recall the different things that I've experienced and learned, that would be good. I would be okay with that. Um, I don't necessarily think I need, extra strength or things like that, or the ability to breathe underwater, or could be interesting, or breathe in space or go into space without a space suit just because I have, some ability or modification in my body that allows me to do that, or you could light me on fire and I'm not going to burn because my skin is fire resistant or whatever through the modifications that have happened through technology. I don't need all of that. um, I guess some people that might be handy in their line of work or their jobs and stuff, um, but not for me. um, Really what it comes down to for myself is, fixing my eyeballs so that I can see. That's good. And then also The language thing, I think, would just be useful to be able to go anywhere, speak to anyone, understand them, and speak with them in their own language. I think that would be great. And yeah, I know you could probably do that. I could even do that if I really put the efforts into it and had tutoring and listened to tapes and I don't know, whatever else. I could probably overcome that. Really, when it comes to languages, it's just how often do you use it, right? If you use it enough, then you're going to be able to um, be okay and remember things. If you don't use it, well, then you're kind of out of luck. You're probably not going to be able to speak consistently in that language and be fluent in it. And then, of course, the ability to remember and recall other things that maybe you just can't. I think those three things would be good. So anyways, we rambled on about that a little bit. What are your thoughts? Do you want any modifications if the technology existed? Or would you be, resistant to that and say we should stay natural the way we are because that's the way we were made? Hey, and each to his own, and that's perfectly fine. But interesting thought. Technology will head in that direction at some point. It already is. So it's just a matter of, are you open to it? Is that something that would be scary for you or something that, hey, it's technology just like a mobile phone or anything else? So thank you for joining me today on Fusion's Ramblings as we talked about technology and the body, and we shall talk to you next time.